you know you're going to get a strong attack. But the one thing I have noticed, in say 2008, maybe even going back a bit before that, we used to just see the comment, there is no future in Linux, that type of suggestion. Linux isn't wanted, Linux is rubbish, Linux is for elite users only, Linux users are arrogant. We used to see that, it was very, very common to see that. Now what we're seeing, since we've seen a takeoff of Android and a lot of devices that are running Linux, is that there is no popularity in Linux on the desktop, and it seems to be narrowing now the field.
Yeah, they have to change the goalposts.
Yeah,
to really change.
It's very interesting because, like I say, I don't engage in a lot of the conversation. So looking from the outside, I'm able to have a look as an overview of what's being said, and it's very interesting how, like Roy says, they're changing the goalposts now. And there was a thing I brought up with Roy, which I really like to cover for the next show, and maybe it's something that we might get a bit of feedback on prior to that. And this is just me making a claim now. I haven't looked at the figures, so this is just my view. But if we were to say that the popularity of Macintosh, or the Apple Mac, increased due to the popularity of the iPhone and iPod, could we then equate the same success to Linux on the desktop as a result of Android? And it's just something to think about.
Right. Hang on, I'm just logging into my AstroTurfing software.
I think it's a fair point. I think the iPhone and iPod did a lot for the popularity of the Mac, and people wanting to go out and buy a Mac instead of a Windows PC. And I don't think it's far-fetched, if that's the case, to say, well, maybe with Android now becoming the platform of choice for the smartphone user, that would then migrate onto the desktop as well. I
was going to say, to see on the idea of the whole scope narrowing, and it's like, there's no place for Linux. Linux is dead, and then it's like no place for Linux on the desktop.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine that the logical place for that is that they're going to be left with a little island. That the only place they can go is there's no place for Linux on my desktop.
Yeah.
And at which point Microsoft will be bankrupt. They won't be able to afford Apple because Microsoft won't have paid them enough for their all their AstroTurfing duties. Microsoft will renege on those payments, so they'll not be able to afford a Mac. Their Windows won't be supported anymore. It won't work anymore. So the only choice they'll have left is a computer with Linux. And I don't want Linux on my computer, therefore I'm out of this computer business. It's a fad. Who needs computers? So that's the logical place for that.
Oh yeah, if Microsoft haven't created it or aren't making a profit from it, then it's a fad. I think that's the golden rule there. But yes, sorry, it was just something to throw out there for the show.
Yeah, we know all the grapes are sour anyway, and it's really the case that they've been doing this for ages, though. I mean, you know, the internet, the very, very famous saying from Bill Gates in 1993, when the internet was mature, he said, "We're not interested in the internet." Yeah. I think that the actual quote was, "The internet, we're not interested in it." That's quoted to this date because it shows that Microsoft refused to accept the internet because it was a disruption to the way they were exchanging documents and trying to manage networks, and so they were trying to fight against something which obviously they had to accept, and they did this too late, and then they had to attack Netscape to stay within some relevance in some way, and face some fines, and almost the company's been split into two parts and whatever. So.
And I mean, to end on the Microsoft note, we'll say as well, if I don't know if you followed this at all, Roy, but I certainly follow the Windows Phone 7 subjects with interest. And they're running a competition at the moment. I'm not sure whether the closing date's up, but it's a competition to write an application for the Windows Phone 7. And there's prizes galore, I believe, and all sorts of things as a way to entice developers to actually write some software that people want to use and to try and desperately draw people to the platform, I think. Well, I've come up with a good idea. How about writing, if anybody wants to take this idea off me that's listening to the show, please do, and I just expect a share of the prize money. But why doesn't somebody write a piece of VM software that will run Android on a Windows phone, and then you might shift a few more phones? That was my suggestion. I don't think it'll get very far, but...
See when you said about competition...
That already exists, by the way.
I was being flippant, Roy.
there is a company called something like OK3 Labs or something. I don't think... But to be honest with you, I don't think any company has written a VM for Windows Phone 7. No, seriously. They usually target platforms that are actually being used by people so that they can make some sales. So even if Microsoft did want to try and acquire some application through a compatibility layer, and there is this thing called Alien Dalvik or something. I think it's a Swiss company, which developed a piece of software, a very interesting one, which would put Android applications on Migo and all kinds of, perhaps in the future, different platforms. So they do work on some sort of compatibility layers to make things work globally, universally in phones. I very much doubt they'll have any interest in Windows Phone 7. One thing though, I watched some TV today, which I don't usually do, and I saw an advert for Windows Phone 7, which I thought was strange because you should have give up by now. It's terrible. I mean, the sales and everything. It's just they should just save the money and just quit the market, to be honest. But one of the things they did there is they promoted the platform. Like Gordon said, not based on specification. He's quite right. They always try to appeal to the people who know nothing about computers and phones. But what they try to say is you've got Xbox on it and you've got Office on it. Go and get this phone because it runs Office and Xbox. I'm not sure. I suppose Xbox means like Xbox Live or some games or something. And it just shows you like a whole bundle of these phones just like twirl into some kind of a half pipe or a pipe dream or whatever. And it's like 20 of them just lined up like a piece of garbage. Like, like you need 20 phones to actually make something out of them. And they basically tell you, well, you need it for Office or something. And that just shows you the fact that they mention Office and Xbox 360 and not Angry Birds, which they sort of lied about previously, tried to portray it as an application that's supported by the platform they have. All they have is their own platforms running with their own platforms and basically a kind of a lock-in trap where they say, well, if you want to use our software, you have to use our phone. But the truth is, for phones, people don't need to have a full-scale Office suite or something. They just don't need that. And I don't think Microsoft really takes this thing seriously and actually thinks this is going to really save them. And this is something they've been pitching about since last year, saying, we're going to have a special version of Office for mobile phones, but it's always been very, very vague.
Yeah, I think they try to target business users, so they're trying to target things like Exchange and SharePoint and things like that. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the things. Office on your phone, I mean, holy hell. Who in the hell wants to use an Office application on a phone? That's like an all new layer of hell that Microsoft's monkeys have found an extra door to with the fire round about the edge of the door. It's like Office on a phone. You've got to be kidding me. Who the hell wants to use that? I don't care. I mean, even on Android, if someone says to me, oh, you can go and get Abbey Word on Android, it's like, why? I would never use that. Why would I want to use that on a tiny screen? So, yeah, I mean, there's that. I've noticed as well that as much as Microsoft tried to tout various interest in Windows Phone 7, say, oh, it's going to be successful and blah, 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 you've got one company that I spotted, ZTE or something, a Chinese company.
Yeah.
They said,
yeah,
they basically said, no, we're just not interested in Windows Phone 7 at all. This is nothing to do with us. Other people can do that. And then they've got other analysts as well, or supposedly independent analysts, making the prediction that Windows Phone 7 is going to be in second place behind Android by the year 2015. And they're basing that largely on Nokia, on the combination of the Nokia deal and but the thing is, that's vaporware. The first Nokia Windows Phone 7 that's scheduled to be released to the public, so that the public can even look at it and go, should I buy it or should I not, is going to be late 2012, I think. So, I mean, it's pure speculation.
It's not even finalized. I went past the Nokia shop about a week ago, and there is absolutely no sign whatsoever of anything Microsoft. The whole thing is just completely, you wouldn't even know they have anything to do. And it's not finalized. It's something that they could actually get out of at a later stage. Well, they first need to get Elop out of the house if they want to get rid of the Microsoft deal. But I think they're pretty much stuck because unless they have to, well, they have a very, very large size as a company. And to retain this, to justify this existence, as a large company, they cannot just be one more Android supplier. They have to what they used to.
I wonder actually if the people who are trying to work out these figures and gauge these figures are saying, right, Nokia have got a huge share.
If these are analysts, you just swap the word analyst with opinion for sale because
exactly.
Microsoft's document precisely say what they are. You just pay the money,